Welcome to this edition of Cross Culture with Bola. I'm your regular host, Bola Feni. I hope you're staying safe, healthy, and that you're taking all the necessary COVID precautions. You're welcome again, and today we're going to be talking about cross-cultural communication. This has been a huge problem in my relationship with my children, and I have seen it play out in a lot of relationships that have been involved in, and so I think it's something for us to talk about. So what do we mean by cross-cultural communication? Cross-cultural communications happens between two people from different cultures. And very many times when we talk about different cultures, we're thinking of maybe somebody from China and somebody from the US, or somebody from Africa and somebody from South America. But no. Cross-cultural communications happens within the same family. One of the issues between my kids and I is that we are cross-cultural. We have a cross-cultural relationship. My kids are westernized, okay? And I am full-blooded African mother. So when I say stuff, for instance, let me give you an example of the kind of communication that we have. I sometimes will say to my kids, when you're done with that, let's go to Walmart. And my 22-year-old looks at me and say, Mommy, no, you need to ask me if I have something planned or what my schedule is, or if I want to go to Walmart. I mean, you can't just tell me, let's go to Walmart. And I'm looking at this girl and I'm thinking, really? How dare you even talk to your mother like that? I wouldn't have dared talk to my mother that way. And I interpret it as disrespect. Meanwhile, she sees it as, just speaking her mind, just speaking out for herself. So what we have at the end of the day is cross-cultural miscommunication. And the deal is, the greater the cultural difference is, the greater the cultural miscommunication. And the deal is, we assume things about each other. It's very important that we understand where each party is coming from, that we don't make the assumptions that we make when we're in a relationship with someone. It's also important for us to know that every behavior makes sense to the individual who is exhibiting the behavior. The only person who has a problem with the behavior is you, not them. They look at themselves, they're doing what they should do. Because you see, all perception is culturally determined. The way you view a behavior or an attitude is dependent on the culture in which you grew up. So people do different things and we throw different interpretations at them. For instance, where I come from, when you have someone visiting, you ask them, what do they want to eat? You don't assume. Maybe you guys like potato and chips, or you like mac and cheese or stuff like that. You don't assume, you ask them, what do you want to eat? That shows respect. That shows that the person is welcome. But I have been in cultures where they just cook the food and assume that you like the food. And if you interpret that as them being unwelcoming, you could create a problem, because in their culture, they're giving you what every other person is eating. So that's their own definition of welcoming you in their family. And I had a personal experience with this. Let me tell you what happened when I first went to see my in-laws. I don't remember whether it was the first time I met them or the second time. Okay? I wasn't an eba person. They like an eba in their house. Eba is something we eat in Nigeria. We eat with soup and all that. And they offered me the food and I said I didn't want to eat. I wasn't hungry. To them, that showed that I was either not respectful or I didn't accept the family, that I didn't feel a part of the family. Meanwhile, to me, I felt that, hey, I probably should have been asked whether I wanted to eat or what I wanted to eat. Anyway, so when we had the conversation, a couple of, I think, during that visit too, my sister-in-law said something to me and said, oh, even if you weren't going to eat the eba, why didn't you just lick the soup? And I said, huh? Lick soup? Where I come from, only children lick soup. Once you're done eating your eba and soup, you tossed it into the trash or you gave it to a child, to lick and all that. So I looked at her and I said, I don't lick soup. But you see, in their culture, if you weren't going to eat the eba and you licked the soup, you showed that, yes, everything was okay. Okay? If we did not have the conversation about the different cultures, what licking soup meant in their culture and what it means for me, it would have just been a huge problem that we would have had. Another experience I have, for instance, is that where I come from, you don't dish food for adults, you let them do what they do and all that. Where my husband comes from, once a man is married, you waited for the wife to dish food for you. It was an insult to go into the pot to dish food by yourself. So when my younger in-law came to the house and was waiting for me to dish food for him, I was like, what's wrong with this boy? And he was looking at me and thinking, oh, she doesn't want to give me food. We had a cross-cultural difference and neither of us communicated this to each other. So I want to challenge you. When you're saying something to somebody from a different culture, find out if you are communicating at all. Find out what it means in their culture. It's very important for all of us to be culturally aware. A lot of the offenses that we hold on to are totally unnecessary. Trust me, my children and I are still work in progress because they have adopted a culture that tells them, that makes them interpret things a different way. In fact, I was telling one of them the other day, I said, I as a mom, am showing responsibility and you are interpreting my show of responsibility as control. But you see, we come from two different cultures. So before you begin to tell yourself, my kids are so disrespectful, my kids don't appreciate what I do for them and all that, find out if what you're doing, what you think you're doing right, communicates love to them or it communicates control to them. And for you kids, before you begin to throw out your parents' love and all that, find out what they're communicating to you. They might just be showing you how much they love you and how much they want you to succeed in life. When they say go to school and study medicine, it's not about control. It's about helping you to make sure that you have a good future. This is a conversation that has to be ongoing. And next week, you're going to listen to a conversation I had with my son, and hopefully you'll see how well we communicate. You'll also see the huge cultural divide between the two of us. It's interesting. Anyway, have a good week. Please like and comment. Let me know what your cross-cultural communication experiences has been like. God bless you. See you next week.